Hey, how is everybody? Whoops, I just unplugged my light. Hey, good to see everybody today. I was just playing some music that will correspond to what we're talking about. Welcome to the recording. If you were here a couple minutes early, normally I play really good music from the 70s. My stuff, the stuff I like before you were born, but today I was playing some Tove Lo, I believe. Who that was. Queen of the Clouds. And she is singing a song. You may not know the title of it because she's singing about staying high all the time, which I wouldn't recommend. She's singing about habits. That's the name of the song. Habits, off the album Queen of the Clouds. So you may want to get that. Anyway, but let's talk about habits. You know, before I start talking about habits, I do want to mention that I normally, before we start a call like this, I will get out my iPad and I look at all the good news and I try to highlight people, but there's so much good news. I would spend 10 minutes highlighting people. So I'm not doing that. So if you were like, gosh, I hope Lee mentions my name today, I'm not doing it. I probably should, but I'm not, because I'm that kind of person. So I'm going to put my iPad away. Good job. Good news. Well done. And let's get underway and talk about habits. So the title of this little, I'm stealing this from a blog I wrote a few years ago. Welcome aboard. And the title of the blog was Caution. Habits can be habit forming. Habits can be habit forming, which is absolutely true. And before I tell you a little bit more about habits, I do want to tell you a word that I came across that I haven't used for a long time, but you need to know. And it's a word, it's an adjective. It's a Latin word from the start. I think its origins were in the 19th century. But the word is sartorial. Who knows what sartorial is? Sartorial. Please write this down. Yes! Woo!
American. That's the only reason.
American. Yeah, I realize that it may not translate perfectly. Good job, Americans. Sartorial is an adjective that says it means of or relating to a tailor. Huh? Or relating to fashion. So it relates to a tailor, custom stuff, or fashion in general. So let me give you a couple sentences that you can use. And I would work this in. When you're sitting with the client, you can always use sartorial and just throw them a curveball. Let them know how smart you are. Gives you, it bumps up your status. Here's one. He makes excellent sartorial choices and is always impeccably dressed. See? Sartorial. Here's another one. I indulge my sartorial interests by buying from an LGFG tailor at least twice a year. So you are all in the arena of sartorialism, which is not a word, but sartorial is pertaining to fashion. So you need to use that somehow. All right. Just tell people, oh, I'm in the realm of sartorial servanthood. That would be good. All right.
Is sartorialist a word? I am a sartorialist. Maybe not.
That would be like I'm a fashionist, or perhaps we'll save that. I'll look it up some more. But just that's in itself is an adjective. So that would be like beauty is an adjective. Can you be a beautyist? No, you can be a beautician. But enough on this. Let's go to our topic at hand. Let's talk about habits. Let's talk about habits. So habits are a good thing and a bad thing. John Dryden, one of the authors I read back in graduate school, said, and you probably have heard this, we first make our habits, and then our habits, what? Make us, right? We first make our habits, and then our habits make us. And this ties in to last week's discussion that we had about working out your decision muscles. You've got to make decisions to impact your habits. So I hope some of you took the chance to read some of the questions that we talked about, learning from past decisions, past mistakes. So this does tie in, if you're wondering. This is not completely random. In the Bible, it says, as you sow, so shall you reap. In other words, whatever you plant is what grows, right? If you're, I know there probably aren't a lot of you in farming, but as children, or you grew up on a farm, but if you don't plant corn and then expect wheat to come up, you don't plant wheat and then expect okra to grow. Whatever you put into the ground, whatever in your world, whatever habits you plant, they will germinate and they will grow in your life. Good ones and bad ones. So that's what we're going to talk about just for a couple minutes. You harvest what you plant. So each and every day, you're either consciously and sometimes unconsciously planting seeds of a sort. All right. And those seeds, they germinate. So here's the news about most of the world. Most people, and you know folks like this, don't live intentionally with a purpose, right? You have any friends like that who are kind of drifting? My son, Luke, went out. He came over Saturday to pick up his dog. And he said, I'm going out with a friend who is spend most of his time being high without purpose and has no idea what he wants to do. He has a job, but he is absolutely rudderless. So it's super easy for him to be undisciplined. If you've ever spent time in your life doing that, he was looking for purpose. So if you're operating in a less than conscious manner, that's the easy route. And most people, like my son Luke's friend, are like water. They seek the path of least resistance, you know? And that's just the easy way. Now, what you're doing as booking buddies is not the easy way. If you're a clothier, you're not taking the path of least resistance. You would never be in this organization if you felt like, oh, I just want something really easy where I can just veg all the time and just hang out and not contribute. So here's the first thing you should write down. I realize you haven't written anything down yet, and I know some of you are anxious to write down some notes. So here's one. Unless we are consciously forming good habits, we are unconsciously forming bad ones. Would you agree? Idis? Yes, he agrees. Unless we're consciously forming good habits, we are unconsciously forming bad ones. So my question to you, what habits are you forming right now? Some of you came off of our big meeting a few weeks ago, and you have some new habits. Who has some new habits? Anybody? Things you're trying mentally, physically, emotionally. You may have made choices and have some new habits. Well, guess what? It takes 3 to 4 weeks to make a new habit. Okay, you can't just try it once. You can't say, okay, I'm going to have a good attitude for today and see what works. No, it doesn't work. Not for long. So my question to you, what habits are you forming? What adjustments, you need to make little adjustments, do you need to make to your patterns? Okay? That's a big question for today. So I want you to know, think back in your life. Have you noticed how easy it is to be lazy? Yes, I have spent time, I know this will shock you, but I have been lazy at certain moments in my past. So I got to tell you, and you can relate to this, it's easy to sit on the couch at night and watch reruns of Rick and Morty or the Office, right? It's easy just to sit there and go, yeah, more SpongeBob, whatever, you know? That doesn't take a lot of effort. And I am not condemning SpongeBob or watching reruns of The Office, okay? I'm not against that. Or if you do an occasional binge watch, don't worry. I'm not saying that 24 hours a day you've got to be on task or you're a failure. That would be a difficult hurdle to reach. It's easy to play Fortnite or Rocket League, until you look up and you notice 4 hours have elapsed. I remember one time I got online. This was a long time ago. This is like on a Tuesday night. It was a work night. I was at Southwestern, and our director of alumni databases was said, hey, he sent me a text and was like, we should play Age of Empires. And I'm like, okay, let's go head to head on Age of Empires because I love Age of Empires, all the different versions of it. But so he challenges me, and we get online, and I'm not paying attention. And literally at 2 a.m, he runs out of all his gold. He is vanquished. And it's 2 a.m. I look at the clock and go, oh my gosh, I've got to get up in like 4 hours. So all that to say, forming bad habits takes little conscious effort, as you know, right? It doesn't take any intent to do that. So here's another little pithy adage. And you may have heard this. There are 3 types of people in the world. 3 types of people in the world. Those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those, perhaps like Tove Lo, who wake up and ask, what happened? Because she was spending so much time being high. Yeah? So you're either making things happen, you're kind of watching the world go by, or you're asking, wow, what happened? Dude, I'm 35 and I can't remember what I did with the last 10 years. All right. So lots of people end up in the last category. You guys are not like that. A lot of Americans, they pass their waking hours with what I would call amusement, mostly with their best friend, the TV, or nowadays YouTube, and the older group, Facebook. But the root meaning, if you want to know, since I'm talking about words today, we explored sartorial. The root word, the meaning of muse, means to think. Okay, it's a French word. So amusement is non-thinking. It's a lack of thinking. Okay, 16th century, the French amuser meant to. This is long ago, meant to distract from serious business. All right. So I've also, I don't know where I found this, but there's something called Eng's, E-N-G, Eng's principle. And here's what this person discovered. The easier it is to do, the harder it is to change. Have you found that to be true? The easier it is to do, if you lapsed into an easy habit, the harder it is to change. So we want to make sure we don't fall off the wagon, so to speak. Bad habits are easy. So I'm going to skip some of my notes here just because there's too much junk. Okay, here's the good news and the bad news. Forming good habits takes discipline. And I know discipline, we used to call it the D word because it was so uncomfortable. Forming good habits takes discipline. It takes effort. It takes energy. It takes focus. So again, I'm not suggesting that we all become workaholics and you've got to work Saturdays and Sundays every minute with relentless purpose. There's a time and there's a season for everything. So leisure time is totally okay. Getting on Instagram, okay. You just have to pick and choose when you're going to do that. Occasional downtime, healthy. It's good to veg out now and again. So here's my question again. What habits are you forming today? Not next week, not next month, not, hey, you know what? In September, I'm going to start a really good habit. What's something you're doing today? Because you know this, what you're someday going to be, what? You're now becoming. Exactly. Jason says right now, today, the person Jason is going to be when he's 50, he is the habits he is planting right now, and those seeds are growing, right? So most of you need to think about that. We won't get off on that, but that's right in your little LGFG booklet from our meeting. Maybe you can review that. So here's my question to you. Another question. What's a small new habit that you can just try on, right? You want to try on habits. You want to put them on, see how they feel. Some are more difficult than others. What's a habit you can try on and repeat for 3 weeks? It may be, I'll pick random ones, eating smaller portions, okay? It may be using less sodium, salt. It may be, some of you And people have reminded me of this back in the day. It may be smiling more, smiling. Yeah. It may be, yes, deciding to express your feelings more within, especially you Eastern Europeans. Feelings are okay. You can express them. They're like, I am very excited. Okay. Well, let your face know. It's always a good thing. Okay. Let me throw out some more tiny habits. These make a difference. It could be starting to exercise. I remember back in the day when I was coaching Tonu, and we started off for him to exercise was he didn't enjoy running, but we decided he would just take a walk around the block and through a park every day. And that became part of his habit pattern. All of you can do things like that. In sales and what we're doing now, it might be increasing your calls, your contacts every day. It may be, you know what? I really need to float. That would make me strong. That would be a great habit to get into. I know that a lot of us have been getting in referrals. I mean, referrals have been going through the roof. So that's awesome. That's a good habit. Stay on the referral train. Don't fall off of that. It may be a new habit like noticing your self-talk, what you say when you talk to yourself. We'll probably spend some time on this sometime, but what you say when you talk to yourself is massive, okay? And how you react to setbacks, what you tell yourself. Most of your job, your success or failure is right here. See these? These are your ears. It's between your ears, okay? All the veterans are going, yeah, we know this. But that's true. And we need to remind ourselves our self-talk is so important. That can be a good habit or a bad habit. It can be, here's a habit, remembering how you got to be where you are, veterans. Going back to that state, what made me successful in the past? How can I draw on that? Rookies, if you're new, you've got hunger and a drive, but you've got no experience. Experienced people have tons of experience, but they've lost their hunger, their edge. So pick a habit that's simple, that's believable, that's doable. Pick a couple, what I would call pain points, things that are bugging you, and take small steps, right? Here, I was going to read you a section from a book. Many of you probably have read this, but it's from Jordan Peterson. Sorry, I've whitewashed the whole book. Who's read Jordan's book? Canadian, you Canadians surely know Jordan Peterson, right? 12 Rules for Life? Yeah, the Canadians going, yeah, we're proud of him, or we hate him, one of the two. But one section in here, about halfway through the book, I like this. He gets super deep and philosophical, but then he just busts into some practical stuff. And I think this pertains to habits. It's called Clean Up Your Life. Let me read you a paragraph. He says, consider your circumstances. Start small. Have you taken full advantage of the opportunities offered to you? Are you working hard in your career or your job? Or are you letting bitterness and resentment hold you back and drag you down? Have you made peace with someone that you're upset with? Are you treating your spouse and your children with dignity, with respect? Do you have habits that are destroying your health and well-being? Tov low, staying high all the time. Are you truly shouldering your responsibilities? Have you said what you need to say to your friends and to your family members? Are there things that you could do that you know you could do that would make things around you better? Have you cleaned up your life? If the answer is no, here's something you can try. Start to stop doing what you know to be wrong. That's kind of, did you catch that? Start to stop doing what you know to be wrong. Simple. But what he's suggesting is you just take a tiny habit and implement that. Daily little tiny decisions, like we talked about, is the way to form new habits if you accomplish them at the right time. And so I'll wrap with that. We'll summarize. Recreating or forming your life doesn't take a lot of work. Just you have to repeat a single positive act every day for 3 weeks, and it'll become a habit. Okay? Recreating your life doesn't take tons of work, like, oh my gosh, I've got to change all these things. It's just a single little positive act every day for 3 weeks. Then when you do that, add another one. Okay? The force of good habits will automatically generate your power and your good fortune. Right? It's so good. I was talking to a friend. I saw him at church yesterday. His name's Chris Visman, and he walked out. I hadn't seen him for a few weeks, and he just was like rail skinny. I said, Chris, you look slender. You look good. He goes, yeah, I lost over 20 pounds. And I said, well, that's great. How long have you been doing that? He says, about a month. And he said, you know what I found? I found that I'm not even hungry in between meals anymore. I said, yes. What you find is that when you make one habit change, it starts to cascade into other areas of your life. Has anybody noticed that? You make a little change, and then it affects other areas that you didn't even plan on. So more on that later. But here's what I'm saying today. Avoid letting life just happen to you. You don't want to get older and be one of those people like, what happened? You want to know the pain of discipline. Remember? Because we know the pain of discipline is way less than the pain of regret. Who's heard that? Yes. If you haven't, you need to write that down. The pain of discipline is far less than the pain of regret. So I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to suggest strongly you try on a new habit today, try it on, and follow through with it for the next few weeks. All right? And Nathaniel Emmons, no one knows who that is, nor do I, but he said this, he must be famous because it's a quote. He said, habit is either the best of servants or the worst of masters. Boom! Drop the mic. I would, but I'm using this again, so I'm not going to drop it. All right. There you go. Okay. Anybody want to share a thought about maybe a habit that you had that you made changes in your life and it? Yes.
Hey, Lee. Yes. Can you hear me, Lee?
I can hear you. Yes.
It's Demi. How you guys doing?
Great.
Very good. Thank you. That's applicable for an accent for like 80% of us here. Hello. One thing that I'll show you guys something. I'm really working with the BBs that's having some results, as you guys will see on the wrap-up call. We got Angle with 3, Jordan with 3 in our office alone. David with 6. So we're really stepping up. And one of the things we're really focusing on, that I'm focusing on, is the foundation of habit, which is the habitat. You see what I did there? That's a play on words. All right. And we're starting our day now. Hey guys, we're starting our day now with a little song, which the Bulgarian BBs totally just volunteered to sing. I'm so proud of us. So let us entertain you with our new BB anthem, which we kick off our mornings with. You guys ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go!
We're the BBs and we go wide and far. Whisper CEO, take out your calendar. We're the BBs and we love BBs. And today I'm gonna earn my bonuses. Every day and every way, we're getting better and better and better. I'm getting better at getting calendars. I'm getting better and better looking. I'm getting better and better at becoming the person I'm meant to be.
And we have a Bulgarian version, which I don't know. We'll do that next time.
Well, that's great. Good job. That was very exciting. So I expect to have other international versions of that song. I want to hear those in the next few weeks. But good job, everybody. Anybody else have a comment or a thought as we roll on? Okay. Well, talk about habits. Talk about habits that have helped you, habits that have hurt you, and habits that you are changing immediately today. That'll be a great discussion. Jason, you have a thought?
Yeah, most important habits in my career have been reading my goals every morning and affirming myself multiple times daily. Lee, I don't think you said it in these words, but you did say we're dumb enough to believe what we tell ourselves. So we've got to be smart enough to control that message. And that's what I use my affirmations for, and they will change your life. So
that's great. Can you give us one?
I am a President's Club member. I go over, under, around, and through any obstacle that stands in my way. I get referrals on every call. I give my clients my very best. I'm a President's Club member.
Wow. I like that. So some of you need to try that one on, huh? Put that on. And then if you do, we'll see Jason wearing a Donald Trump wig at some point. He'll be trying that on. Yeah? Okay, so that's exciting too. All right, go G7. I'll let you go. We'll talk again next week, I believe, right? We should do this again. All right, have a good one. See ya.
Lee.